Thanks for staying tuned. Still this morning on ITV. My name is Ugochukwu Bamidele. Time for us to focus on the crux of our discussion on the program today. Now, we'll start off looking at a whole lot of things that's happened, interesting stuff in the past 1 week, from President Buhari's approval of funds for purchase of military aircraft without recourse to due process, to the court's nullification of the National Assembly's election schedule reordering, also the drama between the police, the Nigeria police, and Senator Dino Melaye. That would pass for any movie, any blockbuster movie anywhere in the world, if you ask me. And then the killings in Benue State has become something of concern, not just to Nigeria, but the world at large. And so we're going to be looking at all of this morning. Let's just start off with the issue of the president not following due process in approving funds for the purchase of military aircraft. Now, if you remember, about, let's say 24, 48 hours ago, the House of Representatives had a little bit of issue. It looked like, they were about to commence impeachment proceedings against the president when a letter that was dated April 13, 2018, and it was titled Supplementary Input to the 2018 Appropriation Bill, Purchase of Super Tucano Aircraft from the United States Government. It was written by the president to the National Assembly. A copy of that letter also went to the Senate. It was also read on the floor of the Senate yesterday, and a whole lot of drama just after the letter was read. The same way happened on the floor of the House of Reps. Now, the main issue is not the fact that money was approved. It's the fact that the money was approved first before seeking the approval of the National Assembly. So that's like, I'm supposed to seek your approval, but I will do it, and then I know you guys will do it, so I'm coming to you after I've done it. That's what it looks like. But we're going to be looking at all of these issues this morning. Joining me on this discussion, two very, very notable personalities right here in the studio. Both of them politicians and technocrats at the same time. Former Commissioner for Energy and Water Resources, former Commissioner for Education in Edo State, a legal practitioner, political analyst, public affairs commentator. The list just goes on. Barrister Washington Osifo, many thanks for joining me this morning.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
How are you?
Very well. And former governorship candidate here in Edo State, legal practitioner also, political analyst, talking about Barrister Cosmos Erabo. Many thanks for your time this morning.
Good morning.
All right, so let's get straight. Let me start with you, Barrister Cosmos. The president's approval of funds for the purchase of Tucano aircraft from the United States, about $400 million for that, and then already approved for it to happen, writes to the National Assembly to say, I'm writing, but I've done it already.
Well, unfortunately, I want to say that for some time now, especially since this administration started, what we have been seeing is legalizing illegality to justify illegality. And when you do that, the whole thing boils down to illegality. And I make bold to say that when you legalize illegality, by way of extension, it could also be seen as corruption, even when you tend to be fighting corruption conceptually only. There's a body saddled with the responsibility of approving such things. It's not as if you don't know, you know. Even if you don't know, you have advisors.
But it's an urgent need.
Whether urgent or not, there's a procedure that you must go. And moreover, what was urgent about it? Which war are we fighting?
There's Boko Haram.
Boko Haram has been there for years.
There's the issue of herdsmen killings.
Herdsmen killing, they know what they're doing. Boko Haram issue, they said they have finished Boko Haram, they subdued them, they've done that, they've done that. The last budget, defense was highest. What happened to that money? So, as far as I'm concerned, it's all a drama. Because in drama, anything happens. Somebody dies in this minute, the next second is up. I see things, important is being trivialized. If a government is responsible, it should follow due process. And by the time you refuse to follow due process, it means you are not responsible. That's my take on that. The Senate is supposed to approve before you go and withdraw. Now you are doing it the other way. What does it mean? Irresponsibility.
Okay. Let me come to you, Barrister Washington Osifo. Your thoughts on all of this process. I mean, would it be wrong for the National Assembly, the Senate, and the House of Rep to be thinking in the direction they're thinking? Is it wrong for them to feel offended by the move of the president?
Well, there are a lot of issues. Of course, I've been watching the activities in, let me just say, the National Assembly, particularly the Senate. Okay. There's been great turbulence and all of that, and you can almost predict them. Yes, they say it is wrong to predict the temper of a chick still in the shell, but I tell you, very many persons who can predict the temper of the National Assembly, like I said, particularly the Senate, without missing it. You see, somebody said yesterday that even letter addressed from President Buhari, or let me say the executive, but not opened, so you don't even know the content. They can even criticize it without not even knowing the content. Well, you see, this is democracy at play, and it is very, very interesting. It is interesting to the extent that, yes, they are constitutionally assigned roles, you know, to both arms of government, as it were. When there's a breach, you also know that the breach is there. But the truth is that when nobody is an island, okay, so also no government is an island. The action of one is consequent, particularly in this transaction, is consequent on the directive of another. And this is an international trade. And what comes with this international, particularly the fact that the request for these from successive government has been that they needed these Tucano jets, you know, because they are special jets to combat the kind of war we are having today. And it is not out of place. It may be required. It may be required to send the letter, you know, to secure the nod of the National Assembly before the transaction. But when it becomes necessary, the doctrine of necessity also came in, by reason of saying that the United States government never at any point in time agreed to sell Nigeria, because they've been studying the trend. First, they must trust your government before they do all of this. And in successive government, they never had reasons to trust that government to go into this transaction. And now we have been, it's not that government didn't fight to have it. It started not with Buhari, it started with the successive government. But they didn't trust them enough to give them that kind of caliber of weapons and all of that. But now they have had reasons to trust, and it came with a condition that this payment must be made as XY's time. Now the president was fighting was, okay, how do I do it? Do I ignore
due process?
This due process? Not really. Do I, if I will have the opportunity to redress this act, do I continue with the act and get the nod later, or go for the nod first, and at the end of the day, by the time the nods come, it is no longer, you can no longer get meet with the requirement of the United States, and that would have meant that you have missed it all. He thought, as an internal issue, it would be better to treat it later and deal with the international instance first, which of course, for me, if you ask me, which is more valid? Okay. You know, in this case, which is the cat and which is the horse? I tell you, the Tucano jet is highly required. The reason why the National Assembly is doing what they are doing, it's not as if they are not right, but I think I would just sound a note of caution. The note of caution would be that the intention of Mr. President must be the guiding principle. The intention is that, yes, there are insurgencies. I'm surprised that my learned colleague here has just said that there's no war. Whereas every day we hear the killing in every part of Nigeria and all of that. It is not really about Boko Haram. It was sounded enough, you know, to all of us from the beginning, at the inception of this, when they conscripted this idea of releasing $1 billion, they made it known to all of us that the reason is not just to fight Boko Haram. Yes, they have been able to defeat Boko Haram to an extent, but you must clean the mess, okay? And in cleaning the mess, you don't just leave it like that. You must also put a situation in place that will continue to check it so that we don't return to the days of Egypt. That's exactly what is going on. So I want to caution the National Assembly that, look, yes, what has happened, but they must put reasoning, you know, in the proper place to note that time was of the essence, and the president acted in good faith, and like he said in his letter, that as countrymen, he expected, he knew, that was what he said, he knew that they were going to support in this, knowing that in all of this crisis that is facing us, crisis of insecurity that is facing us today, we are all involved. So I just want to sound a note of caution that they should take it easy and do what is right in the interest of the country.
All right. While that letter was read on the floor, I mean, even before the Speaker of the House of Rep got done reading that letter, Honorable Kingsley Chinda from Rivers State actually was the first person to raise a point of order. And in his points, he sounded like the president sees the National Assembly, the House of Rep particularly, as a rubber stamp, and that he wouldn't take that. He also went on to say that, you know, it looks as if they are dogs that cannot bark. And he finished off saying that it's an impeachable offense. Barrister Cosmos Irabo, do you think that this action of the president, you know, looking at the Constitution, do you think it's an impeachable offense?
My brother, you see, because when the president was sworn in, the first thing he did was that he took, or whatever he swore with, that he was going to uphold the Constitution. Without the Constitution, the president in the first instance could not leave his house in Daura, go to Eagle Square and say, I want to be sworn in as the president. That means the Constitution is that which dictates everything that happens in the country. That is what made you the president. Now, the Constitution has clearly spelled out the procedure.
Okay.
Now we are in democracy. Democracy in the sense that you have House of Rep, you have the Senate. And this is why representative of different areas of the whole country. You are the president does not mean you know it all. This is democracy. Government of popular representation. That means whatever you do it at the behest of the country. What the people want is what you do and what you should do. You don't put yourself on the people. You do what the people tell you they want. Everybody cannot be there. So the people pick representatives and send them there. Now the position of the law is that before you do X, Y, Z, you consult them if they want it at all. Yet they're not the same people who went by word propaganda. No, worked against the same thing when the former regime wanted to acquire the same aircraft. Now you are the same person who came to say, yes, we have completely destroyed, humiliated Boko Haram. The same thing is now saying you want to buy this. Now knowing that these people might not approve of it, and when you talk of the National Assembly, these are the Nigerians in microcosm. You are going ahead to buy it. Then what is the basis of your being the president? If not the Constitution. Now you have sidelined the Constitution. We know what is happening today. Anybody that talks, they give the person something to carry. You talk and all that. We begin to wonder, is this democracy or military regime? Where a president will go over and above what the law says. And you are doing it, you are saying you expect them. Now that you expect them, have they done it? As far as I'm concerned, and with the position of the law, it's impeachable. And I encourage the National Assembly to go ahead with impeachment.
Okay. All right, let me come to you, Barrister Washington of CIFO. You made mention of the fact that, I mean, the idea of purchasing this Tucano aircraft did not just start with this administration. I mean, previous administrations had tried. And this time, an approval has been gotten from those that want to sell, ready to sell to us. There's a condition. My question is, if we have always pushed for this government has also had plans to try again, then why was this not included in the budget initially? Why do you have to now go ahead and do and then ask the National Assembly to add this to the budget?
Well,
that's spending before the budget is even approved.
Yeah, you see, anybody who comes here and tries to tell you that they know it all, we know it all, that must be a lie. Okay. Nothing stops you if you don't have an idea about anything. It is better to say you don't know than try to give the wrong answers to questions and mislead people. Now, but I want to think that with that in mind, and knowing that, like I told you, it is not exclusively the rights or privilege or the rights of the Nigerian government to so determine when and how they get it. but that of an extended government of the United States of America, I think that they were not too sure. Though they were pursuing it, but they were not too sure. The nod came unexpectedly, fixing a gaze on it, but also knowing that, you see, if you take your mind back to, our Governor Obaseki, addressed the nation on the 15th of December last year to tell us that, yes, it was a collective decision of the 36 governors of Nigeria that they had donated their powers, and that gift to the federal government on behalf of Nigerians.
$1 billion.
$1 billion. It is part of what we're talking about.
It raised a whole lot of dust.
It raised a whole lot of dust. Even the opposition party said, oh, the money was to fund election. But the response from APC was like, yeah, 11 of your governors were there. If it was to fund, it means that you are doubting the loyalty of the 11 governors and all of that. So it was a collective thing. That was a meeting, at the neck where the issue of party was set aside, in the interest of overriding interest of Nigerians. So what I want to say is that, I have been in government in the past. I cannot say that all that I did well according to the law. But what you can hardly fault my actions is that in my conscience, I know, okay, whatever I did in the interest of the people. Morally, you cannot fault my actions, but legally, you will be able to fault some of my actions. So that is why I'm sounding a note of caution. On issues of security, it beats me hollow that you cannot be saying you are inviting the president on account of the insecurity in most part of Nigeria, particularly the north central, northeast, then today you want him to come and explain to you what he's doing about it. On the other hand, some persons are saying, why should he even go ahead to procure the same Tucano jets that is required to fight the insurgents that we're all facing today? I mean, we must be sane. We must be able at a point in time as leaders, we must be able to define on whose side we really are. The side of the people or on the side of the party we belong to. There comes a time as leaders, the moment you are given a responsibility on the platform of your party, you no longer hold it alone for your party, you hold it for and on behalf of the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So I want us to see it from this angle. That is to say, yes, I expected the hues, like I said earlier on, the hues, the cry in the Senate and even in the House of Reps when the letter was read. Of course, it's to be expected. It's an arm of government who knows its onions, and they want to also flex muscles and do all of that. But in doing all of this, let reasonableness be their watchword and their guiding principles.
All right, let's move on from that right now, just so we don't dwell so much. Let's move on to Benue State right now. Still talking about the issue of security and money's being pumped into defense, and we still have issues. Now, if you remember very well, some days ago, somewhere in Ukpo Umbalom community in Gwere East local government area of Benue State, 2 priests and worshippers were murdered, were killed by I'd love to use the word bandits, because we can't really lay our hands on whether they're headsmen or criminals. So let's just say bandits. Really sad one, actually, at the point where it's now moved from killings in homes to religious worship places. And with all the heavy security presence in Benue State right now, there is the military Operation Cat Race. There's been deployment of mobile police units to the state, and we still have all of these issues coming up from Benue State and neighboring states, Taraba, Nasarawa, and all of them. What are we not doing right? I think that's the question. If we still have all of this with the military presence in that state, Barrister Cosmos.
You see, the issue is simple. If a thief, for instance, it's clear, I'm just trying to illustrate, takes a thing and hides it, and you're looking for that thing, with the thief, I tell you to be difficult to see. As far as I'm concerned, my personal opinion, the government of the day precisely know what they are doing. Look, When I was in school,
Sorry, precisely know what they're doing with the killings in
they
Benue
know
State?
what they are doing with the whole situation.
Okay.
When I was in school, when I was in school, or before I got into the university, we used to hear confraternity in school, and we thought it's something that cannot be nicked, cannot be stopped. But when I got into school, I discovered that if the vice chancellor wants to stop it today, they can stop it. I'm not saying they are part of it, but they know precisely what to do to stop it.
Okay.
My brother, we are fully aware how the DSS have been going to churches to harass and arrest pastors that are preaching. They know when they will preach, they know how they will preach, they know how to go and arrest them.
Pastors that are preaching or pastors that have made inciting?
Not incited. They are not inciting at all.
Just preaching.
Preaching. There's no, all the pastors they have arrested, none has made inciting. If you say inciting, let me know how inciting.
No, I'm just asking. Wanted to be clear.
Pastors that are preaching.
Okay.
The moment you say anything, they quickly go and pick you. They say you are making inciting statement.
Oh, but you don't think those statements are inciting?
At all, they are not.
Okay.
They are not. I've heard them, some of them they talked about.
All right.
If somebody say use your vote, vote well, vote for a president that will, is that inciting? So, but let's list that aspect of it. The DSS can go and do that. But you're telling me, since this issue of killing started, by the way, what is the duty of the DSS? The DSS, they are not even supposed to go into open arrest because they are not supposed to be known. Their job is really to go underground, just like you have the CIA. If you watch how Osama bin Laden was executed, was killed, the CIA first went there, finished their job, moved out before the SEAL group came and did the job. That's the way it's supposed to function. I expected that the DSS or the SSS, they are supposed to have been everywhere. Disguised to be herdsmen, move around, give information to those who will go and do the job, and the job will be done. But today, that has never happened. And nobody has ever come out to say, DSS, what are you people doing? They collect their money, taxpayers' money as salaries. Nobody has ever said that. Now, we have been having the issue of herdsmen killing herdsmen. Is it trooping mobile men there? If the mobile men are there and they know what they're supposed to do, they refuse to do it, will their president stop the killing? It wouldn't. So that's why I say what is going on is what is going on, because some people want what is going on to be going on. Dictate why Danjuma came out and said it's an ethnic cleansing. They were attacking him. That man is a retired general, former chief of army staff. He knows a former minister. He knows that something is supposed to be done that's not been done. And other people that have come out to talk. So look, as far as I'm concerned, this kind of making that just started of recent, it's not a coincidence. Like I said on this platform, I said, before this time, I went to Abuja. I stand to be corrected or even quoted. I know how clean Abuja used to be. But if you go to Abuja, you'll be surprised that cattle rearers, herdsmen, they carry their cattle to get everywhere, and nobody's talking. You know, the president himself might not come out to say, you people can go ahead and do this. But my brother, your body language can say something else.
Okay.
And they will look at it. It's either they misread it or whatever. So that is what is going on in Nigeria. It is not a coincidence. Something is aggravating or catalyzing something somewhere.
Right,
and that's why it just started. Why was it not like this before?
Let me hold you a little bit. Let me come to you, Barrister Washington Osifo. Your thoughts on the issues, especially the recent killings in Benue State.
Well, let me start by saying that as an elder statesman, we should be very careful what we say on media. You know, you don't know who wears the crown someday. So that you are not called to also clean some of those messes. It becomes very difficult because mistrust really starts from what you did before. You know, if it's not different from what you are trying to do when you get to that position, then nobody trusts you anymore. Because people will always remind you. I want to say that the Bible says wisdom is profitable to direct. Therefore, you know, above all things, we must always ask for wisdom, even in what we say. Having said that, I do not believe, and very many Nigerians do not believe, that whatever is happening with the issue of insecurity in Nigeria today is deliberate. That means deliberately, either by overtly, covertly, body language or whatever, supported by the president or the party, APC, or even any other party, as it were. You see, we are quick to quote the United States of America as if we don't have competent men here, even in our force. Yes, we talked about, according to my brother here, talked about how Osama bin Laden was arrested, the underground work and all of that. But what he didn't talk about is that it took over 10 years. The government who boasted that he was going to take Osama bin Laden down ran 8 years and left and didn't bring Osama bin Laden down. It took Obama at the twilight of his administration to bring Obama down. To bring Osama bin Laden down.
Okay.
You see, and the exit of Osama bin Laden, the death of Osama bin Laden, didn't bring to an end the Al-Qaeda activities and the bombings across the globe. That is to say that when it starts, you know, it gives birth to other networks. And that's exactly what is dovetailing to Nigeria. It is a global trend. Whatever the armed forces are trying to do all over the world today is trying to manage the situation so that it does not escalate, you know, above controllable means and all of that. Now, the issue of Evans, let me also come home to tell you that we may not be where we want to be, but there are efforts by credible men and women in this country, both in the force, doing something right to see that we're able to nip this at the board. The issue of Evans, if you follow the trend of how Evans, the kidnapper, was arrested, you will see technological intelligence application of same in the arrest of this. And very many of it is going on. We have also forgotten, I have reminded our people here on this seat before, that Abuja was under siege in years past. The UN headquarters was bombed. Nobody remembers that anymore. It was a series of markets were bombed in broad daylight. Nobody remembers that anymore. It was not conventional to hold Christmas parties or New Year parties or Ramadan parties anywhere, but we have forgotten. Settlements are, you know, communities are being resettled again. Whatever challenges we are passing through now, they are challenges for today, and by the special grace of God, they will be dealt with. I want to say that we must continue to be students of history. And charting a course for the future, let us not forget where we are coming from. The challenges today are here. But under the guise of the comfort we enjoy in our location in any part of this country, we must know that once upon a time, the Niger Delta zone was not a habitable zone. Threats of bombings and here and there, and all of that. And that led to the amnesty that was granted, our students trained, and some of them are getting first class all over the world. These are talents, and this is what we do possess. In the north, yes, it is true. But the fear that it was drifting to Edo at some point, and other parts of the South has stopped a long time ago. Nobody is remembering that. Now this man is saying, let us continue to tame this and tame it forever by allowing him to spend X amount of money. Because if you accuse the past government that they didn't buy enough arms to deal with this situation, why this giving and taking in a way that doesn't even suggest to people where you are really going to? Let me tell you, whether you like it or not, when the sky falls, it will fall on all of us. I do not pity for myself. I pity for generations that are behind me. If we must get it right, if not for us, for our sake, but for the sake of this generation that are behind, because they will come, and when they come, let them not ask, what did we that were ahead of them, what did we do? Because I am quite confident that the Nigeria of yesterday, I am quite pleased with some of the positive steps that it took. And I'm sure it is in that persuasion, knowing that today is not too rosy, but we expect a better tomorrow, that people are calling for us to do the right thing at the right time. But in doing that, if we are urging people to do well, we must not by ourselves especially the kind of language that my brother here used just now, that, you know, the DSS went to churches to arrest. Look, Nigerians may look funny, but you cannot say they don't have wisdom. It is not true that the DSS went to churches to arrest pastors who were just who were preaching. That is incisive, and it is an offense against God and humanity for anybody to even say so. That DSS went and started arresting pastors for preaching the word of God, it is capable of inciting religious war. And this is what I say, that wisdom is profitable to direct. Even if you feel it or you know it, if you are given a platform like this that we are now, look, there are things you don't say, and this is one of them. Just a note of caution.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to some other things right now. One of the most interesting things that happened yesterday is the judgment by the Abuja Division of the Federal High Court, presided by Justice Ahmed Mohammed, ruling that only the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, had the powers to create an election template for the country. Now, by that move, the court has nullified the amendment of Section 25 of the Electoral Act, which was passed in February by the National Assembly. Let me start with you again, Barrister Washington Osifo. You want to share your thoughts on this?
Yes.
I'm glad the both of you are lawyers, so we're going to learn a whole lot from this.
Yes. You see, sometime not too long, I was here. This issue also came up. Oh, hue and cry. Why should any court, that was even the entertain such a matter?
Okay.
You know, trying to take away the responsibility of the National Assembly or question the activities of the National Assembly with regards to sequence, reordering of election sequence and all of that. My position was that, yes, a prima facie case will be made, and looking at the information that were available to me and also to very many of us, that the court will found in favor of the plaintiff, which in this case is a court party, that the National Assembly in this case cannot reorder. And I was relying on paragraph 15A of the third schedule of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, together with section 456 of the same Constitution. Now, there is distribution as far as this matter is concerned.
Okay.
I'm thankful to God that, yes, I said it and the judge did it exactly. That was my argument. But the question is, why was it done that way? All legalities, all powers, all actions taken by either the executive, the judiciary, or the National Assembly, was gotten or is gotten from the ground norm, which is the Constitution.
Okay.
Section 1 of that Constitution says, defines the supremacy of that Constitution, that this Constitution is supreme. What it seeks to say is that no other law made by the National Assembly or even any other body that is inconsistent with the provisions of the Constitution will stand. Okay. In any case, he said, whatever law that is made that is inconsistent will fall to the extent of its inconsistency. Therefore, it was declared null and void. It didn't even wait for the court to do that. The Constitution itself had done that. Okay. To do otherwise would mean that. Now, what the court now said was that, and the reason why I said it at that time, that they will find in favor of a court party, which is the plaintiff in this case, is this. The supremacy of the Constitution, INEC is a creation of the Constitution. Okay. The National Assembly is a creation of the Constitution. And rights and privileges and powers were given to both at the same time. As the National Assembly was given the powers to make laws for the good governance of this country, so also was the same Constitution also gave powers to that created INEC, also gave powers to INEC under paragraph 15A, as the case may be. Now, any legislation that is made to take the powers given by the Constitution to INEC by the same National Assembly that was also given the powers to make laws will be violating that foundation that the Constitution gave, and it will be violating the supremacy of the Constitution which has settled it. Okay. And now, if it was that part 15A that they attempted to amend, the judgment would have been different. If it was the 15A itself, paragraph 15A itself of the Constitution, the schedule that was amended, that gave the powers to INEC, that was amended to take the powers away from INEC, the decision would have been different. But now, a legislation, an act of the National Assembly, a bill which is a law in embryo, was attempted to take that power given by the Constitution, and the Constitution says no, you can't do that. The only way to do that is to amend the Constitution itself, and not
alter the Constitution.
Of course, and not the law itself, because the law itself is inferior to the Constitution. And again, the law today, the position of the law today, in looking at the hierarchies of how laws or the process of creating law, case law is one part of it. Case law are laws made by judgment, derived from judgment of courts. And what the judgment says today is that in that act, the bill section 2025 of that bill, proposed bill, electoral act, has been suspended, has been nullified, so to speak. Okay. And what it means is that it does not exist. What it means is that it cannot exist. What it means is that the reordering, the responsibility to organize, the responsibility to plan, the responsibility to fix the date for elections are solely rights and privileges given to INEC and no other person by the Constitution itself, and not by the Electoral Act. It was not given to it by the Electoral Act. It was given to it by the Constitution. Okay. Therefore, any attempt to amend any law to take it away is null and void, which of course is that's what the supremacy talks about.
Okay. All right. Let me also share your thoughts on this one, Barrister Cosmos.
You see, before I talk on that, I would quickly like to draw us back a little.
Okay.
My brother here is talking about my very self making statements that are incisive. I'm able to say that at least there are 2 pastors that were called to be arrested. One from Plateau State, and then this Johnson was Suleiman Johnson. So is there anything wrong if I cite it? I don't know if anybody from any other religious group that was also arrested by DSS. If there was, perhaps I would have mentioned it.
I think the thing is, you said they were arrested for preaching.
I said they were preaching. Were they not preaching? Were they dancing in the altar? Were they sleeping in the altar? They were preaching in the altar.
They were invited,
and then they were
if you remember very well, they were invited because of the comments they made.
Yes. What was the comments? Which comments? In the process of preaching? That they said they would do. It's an allegation that they made comments, but to them they were preaching.
Okay.
And I believe they were preaching. So that's, let's not turn that to something else. Okay. You see, there's a saying in my place that says, for adults, for elders, your offense is when you don't talk. But for children, your offense is when you hear and you don't take the advice that has been given to you. For the one you are talking about, for me, I believe in the supremacy of the Constitution, and I believe that the Constitution is it all. Okay. Every other thing is subject to the Constitution. And if a court of competent decision has given a judgment, I teach to it. I saw it coming, and when it came, it was not surprising to me.
Okay. All right. So there's just a whole lot, like I said, to learn from this. Definitely more unfolding events would follow. I hear there's also going to be an appeal on this, so we'll just keep our fingers crossed and see how it pans out. Let's see if it's going to tilt at any point. We'll just keep following the stories, like I said. Now let's wrap up with the very popular, controversial Senator Dino Melaye and the police drama right now. Let me start with you, Barrister Cosmos, this time. Your thoughts on all of this. First of all, he was arrested on his way out of the country. He was on his way to Morocco. He was arrested at the airport and then released some hours later. And then the next, I think about 24 hours later, his house was raided and he was picked up, about to be transported to Kogi State when he jumped out of the vehicle, injured himself, had to go to the hospital.
Thank you very much. You see, whenever I speak on this platform, I always say something, that I talk like the Nigerian on the street.
Okay.
Irrespective of whatever position God has elevated us to. As we speak, I talk like a Nigerian on this platform, like a common Nigerian. Now, if you talk about the luminaries ordeal, it did not just start. Like my brother just said, that we should try to be students of history. Dido Melaye is APC, and the government in power is APC. We are fully aware of the crisis, the issue between Dido Melaye and the leader of APC's wife, where they said some, sort of abused themselves and all that. And I think that was the genesis of his problem. And we're also aware, I know, my personal sense, how the governor of Kogi State got there. He never contested the election. He was never a running mate. But since they say he can be there, well, I have no issue with that. And then Nigerian politics is politics of godfatherism, whether we like it or not, whether we come to play sense or not. It's politics of godfatherism. Now, if you insult or you do anything wrong to my godfather, rest assured that I will be the person. When you get to me, if there's anything I can do to you, I will do to you. So that's what Dido Melaye is going through. And unfortunately, the Nigerian police, like we've seen today, I wouldn't want to say, because I don't want to be quoted, that they have, to my own view, become an affiliate to a political party. Because if the spokesman for the police can come out and say that because a sitting president, a sitting executive governor said that there's crisis in his community, that is a drowning man, spokesperson, I think it's a CSP or whatever, he's calling an executive governor a drowning man. That means that there's something wrong somewhere.
Okay.
You understand? To make such an utterance. And he was not cautioned. The president sends the Inspector General of Police to that same place. He refused to go. And nothing happened.
Oh, no, he didn't refuse to go. He went there and left within 24 hours.
The statement was go and reside there. He was not the only person that got there. As we speak, I don't know if there's anything happened, if any caution was made, or if he was sent out of his position or anything. So that's another thing.
Okay.
Then you discover a whole lot of things going on. Dido Melaye's case is not surprising to me. It is the way the nation has found itself. If you can also remember, my brother, when this man, Ogono, was arrested by the police, some suspects, was arrested based on, according to the finding, that some people were arrested and they alleged that they did the killing of this private secretary to, private media secretary, Online Council, to the governor. And as such, Ogono was arrested, that criminals were arrested and they confessed him. The same issue, DSS also brought out some people. That these same people confessed that they committed the same offense. And all that play. So, simply having this in mind, it's obvious that anything can happen. Okay. What is this man's offense? You say you have heard that there's some people, were arrested and they confessed that he gave them arms. A whole senator. If we want to be rational, if we want to tell ourselves the truth, a senator will now be having dealings with common criminals. But
you also remember that he's been invited over and over again.
Excuse me. The man said that he's ready to face his judgment or whatever in Abuja. And there's already a precedent to that. When the River State matter was going on, the same government said that the matter should be in Abuja because security reasons. This man said no. You all know that I have issues with the governor of my state. Because security reasons, if you want to try whatever, let it be in Abuja. This time around, they said no. I must go there. The man who is saying so knows why he's saying so. So, as far as I'm concerned, everybody is entitled to his opinion. It's a political issue. Okay. Because the first time the man traveled, when they sent Interpol, they said Interpol should pick it. What did Interpol say? Interpol said they don't dabble on political issues, meaning they know what's going on. So the man who is saying, I'd rather die than go there, knows what's going on. The intent is because ABC is angry with him. Let us humiliate him. Let us bring it to notice. Right. And as he's in the hospital, they say that they started this impeachment. How many couples say, what is going on?
All right. Let me come to you, Barrister Washington Osifo, as we wrap up. Your thoughts on the whole Senator Dino Melaye and the police drama?
Well, you know, it's very disappointing. You know, there are certain positions that human beings get through, they become authority. We now look forward to, we will pray to be like them. There are certain age we also get to, it is the age of full maturity. People also pray to get to that age so that you are now an icon. You can advise from the throne of wisdom. But I don't know who our models are, but certainly Dino, I used to like him, but with what he's doing now, I think he cannot pass for the model of anybody that is reasonable today. You see, I am not even going to dabble into the political angle if they truly exist, like my brother was trying to let us know. But I think what beats us hollow today, what will beat any reasonable man in any corner of this planet hollow, is this truly a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? The world is watching. Why will my senator, for instance, in a pair of red socks, black trouser, a face cap, and one old t-shirt or long sleeves, sitting on the floor on the street of Abuja, saying, I will kill myself? These are vulgar words. You see, by that character, you have desecrated all that the hallowed chambers, that red chambers, is known for. And for me, I am surprised, for instance, hearing what some senators are saying. Then the question is, if the requirement of the Constitution is that good laws should be made for the good governance of Nigeria, then it will take men of conscience, men with noble background, to also be able to make good law, because you can't give what you don't have. You can see the reason why we take one step forward and 9 steps backward. With men like this in authority, making laws for the good governance, or supposed to make good laws for the good governance of this country, you cannot see good laws, not to talk of good governance. You see, I am disappointed, and I will continue to say this. Dino knows more than this. You see, you can be accused, and thank God the Constitution, also protects him. The Constitution protects him to the extent that he is deemed innocent until it is proven. You can react, yes, that you don't want to go to Kogi, but must you degenerate to sitting on the floor like a weeping baby to the glare of everybody? And the whole world is saying, that is the Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It is sad. It is very, very sad. He must know that, first, he has come of age. Secondly, he occupies a distinct position for and on behalf of all of us, irrespective of where he comes from. He must also know that he's a father. He must also know that he's a son and comes from a family. He's first an ambassador of his family. He's first an ambassador of his state. He's again the ambassador of this Federal Republic of Nigeria, and above all, an ambassador of the entire world. The rating of Nigeria today and the rating of Nigerian Senate would be, so to speak, looking at what he has done now in the whole world, they will reduce us to that level, and this is the best we can offer. Is this truly the best? Children will be born. Those that are already born and aspiring to occupy that position. Would I want to be tied to the apron strings of this disgraceful act? I am not saying that he has done wrong by protesting, but I'm saying that the means of protest, the manner he degenerated to in protesting, Whereas he was trying to do right, but you cannot do wrong to pursue right.
Okay.
And it beats me hollow, like I said. And I think through him, I want to send this message to other leaders of that National Assembly and indeed other leaders of this country, that the children are watching. And because the children of this nation who are leaders of tomorrow are watching, I want to tell them what kind of leadership are they examples are they giving. May God forgive us for whatever we are doing today. And may they wake up to continue to do the right thing. And knowing that no single individual is bigger than this country. And when they leave, Nigeria will continue to be there.
All right. Definitely, we owe the country responsibility to do right, stand by what is right, and, keep pursuing right. But like I said, when I started, all of this drama, if you ask me, would pass for the script for any movie, whether at home, Nollywood, or Hollywood, or maybe Bollywood. It just keeps getting interesting. Senators yesterday had to abruptly stop plenary to, show their solidarity. All of them, including the Senate President, going to the National Hospital to see Senator Dino Melaye, pay him a visit, and all of that. But we'll just keep following all of these stories and see how they unfold. Definitely keeps getting interesting as the day goes by. And you can share your thoughts with us also, what you think about all of these issues that we've talked about this morning. Use the hashtag TMI on Twitter or tweet at ITV Radio NG. We would love to